The United States in World War I. Overview. The First World War was the deadliest conflict until that point in human history, claiming tens of millions of casualties on all sides. Under President Woodrow Wilson, in the United States remained neutral until 1917, and the entry of the war on the Allied side in the United Kingdom, Russia, or France. This allied was called the Entente. The experience of World War I had a major impact on U.S. Diplomacy and politics, culture, society, and women achieved rights vote, while other groups of American citizens were subject to systematic and repercussion. The war in Europe and U.S. neutrality. On June 28, 1914, Yugoslavian nationalist Jivo Parekberu assassinated the heir of the throne of the Austria-Hungarian Empire, the Dukes Franz Ferdinand. The prestige of the accomplishment was wanted to unite the Slavic people to liberate against the Austrian rule. The assassinate set off a chain of reaction of the commission of declare war between Austria-Hungary and Serbia. Due to the European alliance system, major power has drawn into the war around the globe, and the First World War in human history has begun. United States enters World War I. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson sovereignty to maintain U.S. neutrality, but was ultimately unable to keep the U.S. From going to the war, largely because of the large escalation of German aggression. On May 7, 1915, the Germans sunk a British ocean liner, HMS Lusitania, which had hundreds of Americans on board. Wilson warned that the United States will not permit unrestricted submarine warfare, any violations of international law. In January 1917, the Germans resumed the submarine warfare a few days after this announcement. Wilson administration obtained a copy of the Zico telegram, which was argued to Mexico to join the war effort on the German side and pledged that event of a German victory, territories of Arizona, Texas, New Mexico will be stripped away from the United States and returned to Mexico. The popularity of the Seaman telegram have escalated of German submarine attacks on U.S. merchant ships lead to the U.S. Congress to declare war on Germany on April 6, 1917. More than 1.3 million men of the 12,000 women enlisted in the army forces. Throughout the American opposed U.S. entry to the war, many believed the established duty to support the war effort. The U.S. government propaganda stood and mobilized the American citizens throughout the appeals of patriotism and the duty of linking democracy and the support of the Western democracy Europe. Selective and Service Act in 1917 authorized the military manpower war effort for the United States to rely on sovereignty of volunteers because American citizens believe that their patriotic duty is to support the war effort, and the draft well received. The rates of dodging were relatively low. World War I. On the home front, the First World War had enormous impact on U.S. politics, culture, and society. Advanced female suffrages and successfully linked patriotism of women and in the War of the Rights of the strategized and highly effective in 1920 of the U.S. Congress ratified the 19th Amendment, which graduated the women's right to vote. Others weren't so lucky. Hybrid vintages and the home front led to spontaneously outbreak of violence against the groups who were loyal to the United States, considered as suspects. German Americans, labor activists, and immigrants from African American societies were subject to threats, harassment, imprisonment, and physically violence. What do you think? Why was President Woodrow Jackson unable to keep the United States out of war? Why do you think? What affected of this war of U.S. culture? What is the dominant effect of the positive and negative overall? Should the United States have joined the League of Nations? Let me know. Comments below. Bye.